Welcome to the latest Motley Fool scoreboard. I'm Anand Chakal, and we've got longtime fools Dan Kaplinger and Jason Hall doing the first of 3 out-of-the-box scoreboards. Today, it's Bitcoin, ticker symbol BTC, if you want to call it a ticker symbol. We're going to try as best as we can to fit it in the framework. I think Jason and Dan are going to do a great job here. We'll rate the strength of Bitcoin's business, including factors like industry and competition first. A 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Jason's at a 7. Dan, you're at an 8.
Yeah, Bitcoin's not a business, so let's be real here. These are out of the box, and we're trying to interpret as best we can. What Bitcoin has definitely done is spearhead the cryptocurrency industry. It has become and remained the leading cryptocurrency in terms of value. Investors have a number of use cases for it. Many treat it as digital gold, a hedge against deflation or devaluation of the U.S. dollar and other fiat currencies, and its long-term ascendancy has proven out to have done a good job on that score.
Yeah, I rated it a little bit lower to 7, and there's a couple things that hold me back from rating it higher. It's undoubtedly, it is the biggest brand in crypto, right? It's by far. You could almost anybody on this earth, if you say what's a cryptocurrency, they'll say Bitcoin, even if they don't know any other ones at all. But the big thing is that the real economic impact of crypto is still unknown. It hasn't played out, right? Because it's still just potential. And there's so much speculation that's in the asset class that's propping up Bitcoin along with all of the other assets. And I'm not sure in terms of its digital gold aspect is holding the value versus speculation on the economic use cases for crypto as a thing. There's also so much institutional money in crypto now that I think despite the realities of, like, as Dan pointed out, there's better tools, like there's better blockchains out there for building things on. Maybe it's VHS. If we go back to those old days, I'm going to date us a little bit here, guys, but Betamax was better. Like, it was better. They were smaller. The quality was better. And there's certainly a lot of Betamaxes out there in terms of better blockchains. But at some point, the backing interests start to pick the biggest winners. And I think maybe that's going to be part of the story for Bitcoin here.
Very nice. I mean, Bitcoin literally invented cryptocurrency in 2008 with that white paper. That's how young the industry is. It's not even 18 yet. For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Jason's at a 7. Dan, you're at a 9.
Yeah, so I'm comparing Bitcoin here to a bunch of meme coins that you see in the cryptocurrency all over the place. And, the whole idea of crypto was to have a decentralized asset. An anonymous founder wrote that white paper that you're talking about. So it's kind of ironic that I could have more faith in a decentralized asset with an anonymous founder than I do in other digital assets. But so many of those other digital assets, they just have high-profile personalities. Their aim seems to be to maximize promotional hype. No economic use case whatsoever. Only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is Bitcoin's theoretically vulnerable. If somebody gets 51% of the total out there, then yeah, maybe they could do something to change the framework of it. But that's really the only flaw that I see in its self-defined use case.
How bad do you feel if you're an 8 management team get rated here and do a great job and Bitcoin gets a 9? Jason, you're at a 7. I'll let you take the average down.
Yeah, Dan, not so quite so fast. All right, I agree with you 100% on the founder aspect of Bitcoin. Now, here's where things have changed. Bitcoin has been bought out by some of the kings of the promotionalists. You can look at Jack Dorsey, whose fixation with Bitcoin just really disrupted blocks business for a while. And Michael Saylor. These are two guys that largely took big profitable companies that were really good at what they did, became really preoccupied with Bitcoin to the point of significantly, and in the case of MicroStrategy, now Strategy, completely altering the company's business model. They both look really smart right now, but this has really erased the idea of a decentralized financial asset. And really what's happened is it's shifted money away from central banks to private entities. Now, we don't know really if it's better or even more useful in niche, non-paying for crimes ways just yet.
Ouch. Wow.
Also, Jack Dorsey not super happy to be lumped in with Michael Saylor, I imagine. For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Both of you are at 6s, Dan.
So here I tried to interpret financials in terms of like, what are the tokenomics here? How do you actually make it? And I'll tell you, for Bitcoin miners, it's been a tough business, and it's only getting harder because AI demand has made electricity costs go sky high, electricity necessary for mining Bitcoin, compute costs, same thing. Just all this new demand. Add to that these halving events where the rewards for mining Bitcoin get cut by 50% every few years, and that just makes it tough. For holders, obviously, it's been a lot better. Price has gone through the roof over the history of the coin, but I gave it a 6 just because of that mining aspect.
Yeah, and I'm going to ding Bitcoin here with that same 6 score. Again, it's the VHS in the industry. It's just less useful as programmable money at scale. Now, I got to give it some credit for the strong security that does make it favorable for complex and high value transactions, but it's just so limited on lots of volumes.
Jason, let's talk valuation. How well will Bitcoin stock do over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I think binary outcomes are still the likely scenario, even at this point for a multi-trillion-dollar asset like Bitcoin. I'm thinking 15% plus returns. I own Bitcoin. I own some Solana. I own a few other crypto assets as well, but in a very small amount. My safety score is a 3. The role of institutional money has increased, but guys, to a large extent, this isn't institutions that are filling their bags up with Bitcoin. These are institutions that are selling Bitcoin-backed financial instruments largely to retail investors at this point. This is still a story until the story becomes one of financial function and disrupting other intermediaries and financial tools. We're riding the wave of the story of the future. Bitcoin has crashed on the rocks of messed up expectations. It feels like every year since it was born, it's inevitable that that's going to happen again. And investors could permanently lose money if the story doesn't begin turning into some sort of tangible economic and operational function.
Jason and I totally on the same page directionally. I'm giving it a 5 to 10% 5-year return, but the idea there is, like Jason said, it's kind of this bimodal binary type of situation. And a lot depends on specifically 5 years from now in 2030, where are we in Bitcoin's cycle? Are we in a crypto winter where we could be 80% below all-time highs? Or are we in a continuing bull market where we have seen a full recovery from a past low and then some? And so that safety score of 3, I think, reflects, yes, we could have that same extreme volatility. Even with institutional support, I think a lot of the ways you talked about strategy, Jason, and that's the thing with companies that are taking aggressive positions in Bitcoin, I think that could lend itself to amplifying volatility despite increased institutional adoption.
Thanks to both Dan and to Jason. They've given Bitcoin an overall score of 6.4 out of 10. It was in the 7s before that 3 of a safety score. Surprisingly, Jason and Dan both agree on a top hit for Bitcoin. It's Solana. Jason says it's programmable money, which should be much bigger than digital gold, and Dan similarly likes the greater use of its network. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is something that's often compared to Bitcoin. It's the OG, it's gold. Yeah, we're doing it. Till then, Fool on.